And good morning, Hoosier fans, and welcome to a victorious edition of Hoosier Morning After. This is Hoosier Morning After Penn State. I'm your host, Chad Schwartzkopf. Last night, in a very late-going game, your Indiana Hoosiers take a overtime win against Penn State, 87-85, in a game that the offense looked a lot better. And we saw some things, not necessarily overall, that we've been looking for from this offense. Obviously, the big story being going into this, calling out our upperclassmen guards, looking for more from Al, looking for more from Rob Fennessy. And we were definitely able to get that from them. As the stats show, Rob hitting that game winner to get Indiana the win there, a very blown play at the end of regulation. Obviously, I think Indiana was trying to look for a double screen of some sort to get the ball to Trace Jackson Davis, and that play was blown. Rob doing what we've seen Rob do before, finding and creating on his own, getting into the lane, elevating, and making a very nice jump shot there. Something he's done before, so big shot Rob showing his face again, which is good to see. That's the Rob we've all been hoping to see a lot more often this season. So that was kind of my criticism going into it. I was, as you know, like to post my thoughts for the game, and for this game it was step up, and that was one of my main thoughts when I was looking at step up as being the thought for the game, was that Rob and Al needed to step up and show that they were upperclassmen, they were leaders of this team, and that they can produce at the level that we need them to and look for them to. Al ends with 18 points, plays for 36 minutes, is 6 for 12, 50% shooting for him from field goal, 50% as well from 3, 4 for 8, hits all of his free throws. 4 assists, 2 turnovers. So again, stat sheet looks great for Al. Eye test. It's weird. As I was watching the game last night, we were kind of commenting that it's shocking that he was the points leader, because I don't know what about it was, but it didn't feel like that, at least part of the way into the second half, like he was the point leader for IU. But he did come out that way. Rob, coming off the bench, even kind of made comments as much. Not really saying that phases him now that he's been bumped out of the starting lineup and is coming off the bench. He's a guy willing to at least say in post-game shows that he's willing to be that guy that wants to come off the bench or do whatever the team needs, a team player, a role player. And supplies some decent minutes. Again, it's the eye test for me for these guys. Was not as strong. I think a little jaded as to the second half, where we allowed Penn State to go a little bit over. I think they were 1.5 and change points per possession. So that the defense really struggled in this game. Defense couldn't, more high hedge problems that we've had before, when Trace was staying out too long on his man, couldn't recover. Armand or someone else would have to come in from the wing, cover the big man, and then they were able to easily pass it out and get open 3 looks against an IU player that was having to close out from covering on those screens, on those high hedges. And kind of baffled me and frustrating that IU didn't adjust to that, because going in, did we not watch the film? Did we not do enough research on the team? I mean, we should know that this is a Penn State team that loves to shoot the 3. And that's how they've won their games, how they had that wonderful, a good ranked win against VCU, or Virginia, I believe it was, and why they kept it close against Michigan as well. They're a good 3-point shooting team. And a team this year that we know we're going to have to rely on defense, and to have a defensive outing like this is not good. We definitely want to see that rebound and change when we go into Maryland for the next game. I think that even bumped our Ken Palm ranking on defense out of the top 10, like we have been, down to like 15th or so, but I think should be even lower. We allowed them to shoot 42% from three. We at least kept them to be an abysmal 0 for 3 in the overtime. That could have very much changed the game for us. We go 0-2 and shoot 3 for 7 in overtime. But again, overall, our offensive stats to end the game, 57% from field goal, 31 from 3, and 81 from the free throw. 81 free throws, fantastic. That's how we need to continue to take care of business on that end, to having 21 attempts. The 3-point, obviously you want to be a little bit better, but guys were getting shots in rhythm. As we were watching the game last night, we were calling that out. When Rob would get it or Al would get it and they'd be able to step in, we call it out. That's in rhythm. He's going to hit that. And many of those did go in when they did find them in rhythm. So offense was rolling in that sense, but just troublesome to see those defensive woes. Guys looked a little tired and gassed at the end. Archie had a really kind of short rotation in the second half, so I kind of question why he was doing that. I think maybe he was concerned about the defense, so he kept more of his defensively strong players in there at the end of the game to try to stave off some of the offense that Penn State was able to create. Obviously, it didn't really help. So maybe they did need to get a little bit of play from some of them. Christian Lander had a little bit of foul trouble that kept him out of there. But again, would have liked to see him have a few more minutes. But with Rob and Al playing more like themselves and more like they should, I guess you're not going to let them sit and get cold off of that. Let them build from there. Armand Franklin having a wonderful game as well. Second leading scorer for the Hoosiers last night at 16 points. Wonderful to see him dribble drive. He had that fantastic screen, loop around, drive, and flushed it home. Great to see. We're going to see that a lot from him. Saw a lot of good stuff again from Trey Galloway. Trey's going to continue to be that great player for us that creates things, goes north-south like we always see him do. Assembly Call tweeted something very interesting about Trey and his stats. Trey has 15 assists and 5 turnovers across the last 4 games. He's also 6 for 8 on 2-pointers and 2 from 5 from deep. That's great. That's definitely a role player, and kind of those glue guys, those guys that kind of fill in those gaps that you need on a team. Guys that can produce when you need them, find the open guys. His IQ, his basketball IQ is stellar. It's fantastic. He is constantly has his head up and his eyes up, and is aware of where his teammates are. Still a little concerning to see him drive that baseline and leave his feet to look to pass it out. He has more success than he does have fails when he does that. So there's at least that. But we'll hope that continues to be on the positive trend. So good for IU to get a Big Ten win. Good to have that first Big Ten win in our belt. It's, again, a Big Ten that is very packed this year and kind of scary. I mean, it's you can't judge. I think I said it last week, but you can't judge this Big Ten from what you've seen in the past or what your thought is of a Big Ten team. Because if you look at the Ken Palm numbers, we have 11 Big Ten teams that are in the top 50. Michigan State is 51, just outside of it. And Northwestern is 54. So there's 12 of the 14 Big Ten teams that are right there within the top 50. So it's a good Big Ten. And then the ones that are just outside of it, Michigan State, which is baffled, but they're having some troubles, but they're always a good team. So use your past thoughts about them to say that that's kind of an outlier for them to be struggling like they are. So it's a tough Big Ten this year. We're going to see a lot of high rankings, a lot of teams ranked, and a lot of teams in the tournament. So it's gonna be a tough one. There's going to be even a few more losses than we expected in the Big Ten this year, and we're just going to have to fight and take each game as it is, and we'll get through it. Again, we've got one of the toughest schedules in the Big Ten as far as the draws that we got, but the guys just have to watch film, prepare, rest, take one game at a time, and move on to the next one. So, yeah, next game up is Monday at 8 o'clock, another late one again, probably on BTN against Maryland. Maryland not having the greatest year so far, definitely at the bottom of the Big Ten, towards the bottom, or should be, notwithstanding the current rankings or standings. Should be a winnable game. It's at home. Guys have got some time to rest up over the weekend, watch some film, be looking for the defense to rebound again and get in there a lot more. Speaking of rebounding too, want to see a lot better rebounding on the offensive boards. We weren't very good with that. We had 4 offensive rebounds. So want to see that improve on this next game. But just kind of a full game. I want to see a continuation of full game on both sides from this IU squad. Build some momentum, and because then we go into Wisconsin after that on that following Thursday. So that's going to be a tough one. The Wisconsin team's a very mature team, very old team. They're a good team. So we have to be on our A game, and we've got the Maryland game to prepare us for that. So we've got to be ready and continue to climb and add positive things. So that's going to do it on this edition of Hoosier Morning After. Thanks for watching. Special hi to Wyatt, Rhett, and Bennett. Hi guys, thanks for letting me come over and watch the game last night. Good to see you guys. Please like, subscribe to this video. Follow me on Twitter at General Chadwick. There you can find out announcements about the show and ask questions for the show. Special thanks to Bloomington South grad and old neighbor of mine, Bob Thompson, for producing the music for the show. I'll see you next time, the morning after the game. That time I will be back home, so we will be back to our regular live shows. Until then, have a wonderful day and go Hoosiers.